you won't be receiving. If you talk to somebody that's not on, the makeup assignment and everything else will come out next week. If you can keep yourself muted at all times, unless you have a question or something, feel free to unmute yourself, not a problem. And of course, out of respect for our presenters, keep our chat box related to what we're talking about, and absolutely no COVID questions until the end, or what if questions for that matter. We'd appreciate that. So with that, Dana.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome again. Nate covered pretty much everything. We just want to say thank you for joining us this evening. Tonight will be presented by some of our Central Region football officials, Ken Adent, Dennis Barella, Steve Wagner. Am I missing anyone? I can't remember who all was on the presentations.
That was it.
Is that it? Okay. They'll be talking tonight about the all but one principle, so it should be great content. And
I got it. Hold on a second.
Thanks. I thought it was the voices in my head again. Dang it. So again, if you can make sure that if there's questions for the presenters, go ahead and put them in the chat. And if they don't see them, Nate and I will make them aware of it. If you've got questions unrelated to the presentation, just hold them to the end. Nate and I always stay on for 10, 15 minutes afterward, just in case there's any questions. But after the presenters are done, if you want to log out at that time, feel free to, and we'll stick around should there be additional questions. Again, gentlemen from the Central Region, thanks for taking the floor first and for doing the presentation tonight. And we'll go ahead and turn it over to Ken, Dennis, and Steve.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We have the best bosses, don't we? Nate and Dana, fantastic people to work for. Before I introduce these guys that are going to be presenting tonight, I got to tell you guys just a little thing. I love officiating football in New Mexico, and I speak for all you guys. I've been to all kinds of new places around this state. I've met so many awesome people. For instance, I know a lot of you guys know Todd Morris in Clovis. He invited me to Clovis recently to check out the city. I have to tell you though, be very careful driving there. You can barely see across the street. The air is so thick with boredom. Leonard Longhorn invited me to Farmington to see that city. And let me tell you, if you get an opportunity to go to Farmington, pass that up. The hotel there was terrible. My dog jumped off the bed, rubbed his butt on the carpet, and all I could think of is now I'm going to have to wash his butt. Esteban Baca invited me to Santa Fe for a scrimmage. Any of you guys know Esteban, you know he has the perfect Santa Fe dialect. Women love the words that come off his tongue. We were eating breakfast and the waitress gravitated to every word he spoke. So finally the waitress came back and I said, I know you like his voice, but what does my voice sound like? And she said, in quote, your voice sounds like you can fix a tractor. I can fix a tractor, but that wasn't my point. All right, let me get back to, sorry, you guys let me have the mic. You know I'm going to run with it. So tonight we're going to start with Dennis Barella, and we're going to be talking about Hudl film submission, how to watch film, what to look for in film. Dennis, thanks for putting up with my cheesy jokes, and we're ready for you.
Thanks, Ken. I apologize for those. I told him not to say any jokes, but he doesn't listen to anybody. Can you guys let me share my screen?
Yeah, sorry about that, Dennis. I got on it.
All right, thanks. Can you see my screen?
No, we can only see you. There we go.
There. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
No.
Yeah.
Desktop. I am not sure. It's not allowing me to share my screen.
Dennis, this is Zoom, not WebEx.
Yeah, it's not letting me share my screen for some reason.
This gives me more opportunity to talk to you about the Las Cruces people, if you want more.
Ken, you know that Nate and I have the ability to mute you, right?
Please.
Todd, I think you'd have an opinion.
Yeah, it's not letting me share my screen for some reason.
What is it saying, Dennis?
I could bring up options, but it's not giving me the right options to share screen. It's giving
Okay,
me
I'm pulling
options.
up your PowerPoint as we speak.
Okay. So just real quick, before we get into the all but one, we're gonna just go over real quick the Hudl submission or the Hudl film and how to access Hudl. Everybody in NMOA should have a Hudl account. Is that correct, Dana? Everyone should have access to it.
Will,
We had
so
been,
I haven't updated the roster yet for this year, but I'm working on that right now.
all right, so we had been working with Dana's office and NMAA to get more film submission by coaches. That's hopefully in the final steps, and hopefully we'll be able to get more film for high school officials to do some self-evaluation and to use that as a tool to get better. So with that, Hudl, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here or anything like that. Everything we're going to talk about with using Hudl, somebody else has taught us. We've taken this information from other high school officials and other college officials that have taught us how to use film to get better ourselves. And with that, the film should be used as a learning tool, not to be used to embarrass any officials. We want to use it to identify how we got the play right on the field and how we could duplicate that officiating action on other plays.
Are you begging?
Also, we want to identify what we did wrong and how to correct our mechanics, rules knowledge, or philosophy.
Dana, yeah, that one.
Excuse me real quick, guys. Please check your mics. Make sure you're muted. Thank you.
Man, my PowerPoint's going nuts right now. So hold on a second.
You're fine. So in Hudl, you know, I was going to show everyone how to share. You could share a clip. You can actually download it onto your desktop as an MP4. For some reason, I'm having technical difficulties even sharing my screen. So
There
we're
we
going
go.
to bypass that option. I do have a PDF that I sent Dana. Hopefully she could get it out to everybody with some general guidelines. If you go to slide 3. These are just general guidelines, like I said before, that we've all taken from some other officials, some mentors that have taught us how to use Hudl and how to improve our officiating on the film during the off season. Some of these things, Lan Clark from our association had taught us. We have to remember that we're going to see the video from a bird's eye view and not from the on-field. So keep that in mind when you're reviewing your film on what we actually can see and what the video actually shows. Try to watch it at a faster speed once you get used to doing some self-evaluations. Watch your positioning and the crew's positioning first before you watch the judgment part. With that, I mean, did we get it right? Did we not get it right? But more like, are we in the right position to get the call right? That's the first thing you want to take a look at. And are you and your crewmates looking in the right area based on the player movement? So we start off the play with our keys and we transition to areas of responsibility and then result of the play. Was it a completed pass, incomplete, or was it a scoring play? And was there similar plays in the game that we got right or did we get wrong based off of what we're seeing on film? And why did we get the previous play right and we missed this one? So those are just some general guidelines. Next slide. Okay, so did the action have a material effect on the play? So if we threw a holding penalty on the opposite side of the field away from the point of attack, did we really have to throw that penalty or could we just talk to them, the players? And so when we're looking at film, did that action jump out and was it something that we had to call on the field during the game or can we learn from it on film and say, you know what, we probably could have passed on that hold because there wasn't really nothing there that warranted a flag and to slow the game down. Did we miss a call? Was it big enough that Kemp was on the field? Was it a personal foul? Was it a dead ball action? And why did we miss it? Was it because of positioning? Were we not focused? Were we surprised? We weren't anticipating what was going on, or was there something else that it just went past us because we were just a 5-man crew and not a 7-man crew or 8-man crew. We just don't have enough eyes on the film on the field, and what can we do to improve ourselves to get that call right the next time. And like I said before, we want to call the obvious fouls, the big ones that you can see from way up high in the grandstands where everybody in the stadium sees it. And those big calls, they demand a flag, and that's something we can overlook. So don't watch a play more than 3 times. Stay in the learning stage and not in the justification stage. What I mean by that is, how can we improve, whether it was a right call or a bad call? We want to know what we can do to improve as an individual official and as a crew, and not, I got this call right, or I didn't throw because of this, and you're trying to justify your actions. We want to kind of stay away from the justification and learn from our mistakes, learn from other people's mistakes. And were you in the right position? Were you looking through players or between players? Can you actually see the action, or were you guessing on what you thought you saw on the film or on the field? Next slide. And we want to keep in mind the chord of the time, down and distance, and the field positioning in the game, and recognize the big picture of each play. Like I said before, was there a material effect on the action that would cause the game to take momentum away from one team or the other? Or was it something that we shouldn't have called and should have just talked to the players and done some kind of preventive officiating? And during the film review, we want to recognize the formation, our primary keys for all the positions on the field. Just because you don't work referee doesn't mean you shouldn't know what the responsibilities of the referees are and where they should be looking, and if they could actually help you as a umpire or a line of scrimmage or even a back judge on a play from behind, and they're bringing up the rear. And of course, anything that is dead ball action usually does not come out on the film, especially for high school, but it is a big part of officiating. What happens during plays can affect the next play. So if there's some personal fouls, dead ball personal fouls that we just missed because we're not paying attention, we're taking a break, those can really cost us the next time the ball is snapped. Like I said, these are just some basic guidelines that were taught to me and to some of the other officials in the Central Region, by Central Region officials also, when they were doing film review with us. And these are just some things to keep in mind when you're looking at film review. And like I said, we wanted to bring this up to everybody in the NMOA because in the all but one presentation that Steve is going to do, we are going to look at some film, I think 4 or 5 clips. We're not going to justify whether the official was right or wrong. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the rule and how to apply that rule to those plays. And we're not here to embarrass any official that might be on that film, because they're all are New Mexico high school crews on that film. We don't know who they are, where the film came from, but we're using these guidelines when we break down the film on the next segment. So that's part of the reason why we wanted to give a brief review of how we use film in the Central Region to implement a rule of philosophy or mechanics when we're looking at film. If anybody has any questions, Ben, is there anything in the chat room?
Dennis, there was one in the chat room. It was, go ahead and go to the next slide if you'd like, but they were asking if the coaches were on board with Hudl submission. And we had about a 90 to 95% positivity rate for all the coaches. They're totally on board. They can access Hudl film just like we can. There was very, very minimal negativity. So everybody's on board.
Right. And Dan, do you have anything to add with the final steps of the approval process?
Yeah, definitely. So it was passed by the NMAA commission, and one of the things that they did want is for the football sports specific committee just to take a look at it and go over some of the logistics in terms of the timeline for film submission. So they're looking over it. The board of directors is in favor of it, but they just want to make sure that it has the opportunity to go before that football or the football sports specific committee before it goes into effect. So this year might end up being kind of an initial study year, which is probably okay since it's such a weird year anyway, but it'll get people in the habit and kind of get the coaches set up on our Hudl account. So, you know, some details to be worked out, but there wasn't any opposition. It was just trying to get it all cleaned up and figured out.
Right. So hopefully the next season or two, everyone will have access to all of your varsity film from Friday night. That way you could use that as the following week's local meeting and discuss some big plays that you usually don't get. So that's the intent behind this whole proposal. So there's just one clip I just wanted to bring up.
How do you want me to play this? Do you want me to freeze frame, pause?
Yeah, just hold on just for 1 second. I'll let you know when to play. But here we're looking at the umpire. He's punching out, which tells us that he has 11 on offense. When we do hit play, the referee also punches out that he has 11. The back judge is moving back into position to 22 yards from the line of scrimmage, which is in good position, I think, for the high school. I believe it's 22 yards. The head linesman, I don't see him punch out at all for defensive players, and we can't see the line judge because the film just doesn't catch him. On the film, we know it's 1st and 10, where the line of scrimmage is at the 50-yard line, so the line to gain is the 40-yard line going in. And so that's pretty much how we start our film evaluation. I'm going to say I'm the line judge at the bottom of the screen, just for teaching purposes, because as the play develops, that's where the camera ends up, is on the line judge. So with that, the formation, it looks like we're probably going to have a passing play just based on how everyone's lined up. We have two wide receivers on the bottom of the screen, which tells me the back judge is going to be responsible for one of the wide receivers. The head linesman will be responsible for the wide receiver on the top of the screen, which you can see him running out to his position. And then we have 2 running backs. And of course, the quarterback, we have a legal formation, 4 in the backfield and at least 5 on the line. I'm going to trust that they're legally numbered because there wasn't a flag on the play by the umpire. And so if you could just tip play and just let it run through.
Nate, can you hold on for just a second? Dennis, that's how critical it is to look at, to know what you're looking for when you're watching a film clip, the down, the yardage, the formation. And that's why Dennis went through that, because you need to know where the whole crew is, what the whole crew's doing, the positioning. Dennis, excellent way to set up that clip.
And we have to remember that if this is a pass play, the umpire should come up to the line of scrimmage because he will be responsible for linemen downfield. And if the quarterback decides to run, and if he throws the ball beyond the line of scrimmage, that would be his responsibility, because we both know the line of scrimmage will go downfield with their primary key receiver. And so even though I am a line of scrimmage line judge, I need to know everybody's responsibility on this play.
Correct.
And who has which keys. So go ahead and hit play. So we see everybody moving in, umpires cheating up a little bit, getting a good look at the snap. And if you could just stop it there. It was a little bit choppy, but you could see that we had a completed catch. Looks like at the 19. And like I said, we want to just watch it 3 times just to make sure nothing jumps out, no holding, no personal fouls, no OPI or DPI. And we're going to stay in the learning mode, and this will be the last time we look at this clip before we move on and become critical of what I did as a line judge at the end of this play.
If you guys aren't using film as part of your toolbox, pre-game, post-game, whatever, you're missing out on a lot of potential learning. It's invaluable. So the more you watch film, the more you're going to get out of it.
Right. And so the line judge, if I look at this and I want to be critical of myself, I'm going to say, okay, what was I doing on the field? Why was I running on the field? Did a player cause me to go on the field, or was it just poor mechanics based on my part? I don't know who this official is. I'm just trying to learn from his mistakes. Looked like he bananaed in, which means he cheated. He ran out to the numbers. And when I first saw this, I thought he was going to try to tackle the wide receiver. He should have came right down the sideline, stopped at the 19 and did a 90-degree turn and taken a couple steps in and killed the clock because it was a first down, and have the chains moved based off mechanics. It looks like the back judge was in, as you can see, bottom of the screen, the line judge, he's just running, bananing in. That's one thing I would tell myself. I need to improve on that mechanic. Stay on the sideline and go to the 19 and get the next right there. And get your next position, mark where he was down and signal first down and kill the clock. Looks like the back judge was in pretty good position. I know that this receiver was the back judge's key. Just based off of right there, the back judge has a pretty good position on that play, and for some reason the line judge ran out and needed to get that ball. Well, the ball should be the last thing we're worried about. You want to stay off the field a little bit back. That way, if something does happen, you have a wider view of your vision and you could see any kind of dead ball, personal foul. If you're right on top of the guy, you might see something that you could have prevented. And without that wide view, you're gonna miss a lot. The one thing when you come down to the 19 and you stop, your eyes settle, and that allows you to see more of the film when you're not running and killing the clock and trying to do multiple things at one time. Stop and gather yourself, and then do your mechanics, kill the clock. And if you need to get the ball, go in and get the ball and relay it back into the umpire, so that way he could set it for the next play.
You went over this 3 times. Is this the same play?
That's it. That's the 3rd time. Anybody have any questions about anything we discussed, and just about film breakdown and how we go through that process, and what we might go over before we get into the all but one rule in the next segment.
Go ahead, Philip.
Dennis, this is Greg. Dennis, this is Greg. Can
Yes,
you please go to the original line of scrimmage from the beginning of that play? It looked like they had 5 in the backfield.
Okay.
Would you please? I'm sorry.
Can you bring that back up, Nate?
Yep. Yep.
While he's doing that, Philip, you want to ask your question?
Yes. So in normal circumstances, the way that it would work is that the lineman would be up the line and mark the ball, and then the back judge would spot it, or how does that work?
Usually it's the umpire's responsibility to spot the ball. Now, on a long play like this, down the sideline, we're going to relay it in, we might relay the ball into the back judge, and he might give it to the umpire, and the umpire might relay it to the referee, and the referee might spot it. Just depends on if it was incomplete or a completed pass, and who was closest to the next spot for the next down.
Hey, Philip, this is Ken. As a back judge, I'm going to pregame that with my umpire. If I have a 20, 30, 40-yard pass downfield, do you want me to be setting that ball, or are you going to be coming hustling down to set the ball? So that's a pregame thing. But the linesman should have stayed on the sideline, maybe came in a few, 1 or 2 steps, but he's not responsible for grabbing that ball from the wide receiver. I hope that helped.
Okay, yeah, that was the main part of my question.
Yeah, so that's something that you could talk to your crew also during pregame, or even during your weekly meetings on how you want to handle that. But it looks like here, the receiver in the top, he goes up, gets on the line of scrimmage, and I count 4 in the backfield grid.
All right, I catch you now. There you are.
Yeah, and quick reminder, just anytime we're watching film, I know we can pick apart. I'm sure we can pick apart 20 other things, but let's make sure we stay on task with what the actual lesson is.
Right. And it's just to give you some guidelines, basic guidelines on what you should be looking for. And once you get those building blocks, you could start picking your film apart and really polish up your game mechanic wise and philosophy and why did you miss a rule enforcement or something more critical that could have cost a team a possession or a score or even the game.
Thank you, Dennis, for putting that together. You guys, if you need more information on Hudl, Nate and Dana will take care of it, but Dennis is an expert at Hudl too. So if you guys want to reach out to Dennis directly, he's going, no, don't do that. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I get a lot of requests from other officials outside the region on how to put together a playlist from multiple games, and they just want all DPIs or OPIs or offsides, and so we're able to find that film for you. So please let us know.
Yeah, definitely ask Dennis if you want something that detailed, because I will be of no help to you.
Hey, Dennis, you want to introduce Steve?
Yes, Steve Wagner. He's a umpire with the Central Region. I think he's been an umpire or official, I don't know, close to 20 years. He's an old guy. He's full. Yeah, he's always told me that he learns from his mistakes. So pay attention to him because you'll learn a lot today. And I've always remembered that, because if you're not learning from your mistakes, you're doing yourself a disservice. So Steve, take it away.
Okay, hey Dave, I'm going to try to see if I can share my screen just real quick. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very
Yes,
good.
sir. We can see your screen.
All right, let's do this.
Some love from Simone Montanades. Nice.
Those umpire types stick together.
Hang tight here. And by the way, that goes for the video film. If you want to learn some good film, watch my film. There's a lot of mistakes on there to learn from too. All right, again, this is Steve Wagner, and I wanted to talk about the all but one principle, mainly because I have been, I think it's, I don't know, 18 years or something like that. So we all lost a year, so I don't really know what my count is as far as how many years I've been doing this. I just know everyone I've ever met always says they wish they would have started sooner. So I just want to talk about the all but one principle and kind of take some of the mystery out of that a little bit. If you're brand new to officiating, this can be a little bit intimidating, but I'll have a summary at the end and kind of really what you want to take away from this. And so, but I really kind of just want to make it simple because it's not that complicated, and I want to take away a myth that's out there that a lot of veteran officials use as well to kind of oversimplify this. So anyway, so we're just going to jump right in, and I do have about 4 clips that we're going to use as examples later in the presentation. So we got to build some background to get this right for the all but one. And so starting with just a few football fundamentals. And if you don't do this, I highly recommend it. Go to the back of the rules book, pages 82 through 84 this year. Every year, read the football fundamentals. It's really important. That's definitely something I would do every year. So we got to talk about possession. Possession, a live ball is always in possession of a team. A live ball is always in possession or is loose. So it's either the player possesses it or it's loose. A loose ball is in possession of the team whose player was last in possession. So if a fumble rolls out of bounds, it still belongs to the offense. Incomplete pass, obviously, backward pass, it goes out of bounds. So these loose balls that end up without a change of possession stay in possession of the team that possessed it when it went loose. Okay. Fouls. While it's possible to have, this is a really, really key point for the all but one principle. This is probably the biggest misunderstanding there is about it. So while it is possible to have several running plays during a down, with each one having its own basic spot for the penalty enforcement, there can only be one loose ball play during a down. And we're going to kind of hammer on that some in the next few charts. So don't worry, we'll get back to that. This is just a basic live ball, dead ball. You can look at the graphic. Obviously, dead ball is what happens before the snap goes, and then the end of the down, then you're back to dead ball again. And if you look, I tried to reference all the charts and graphs and everything I steal. Basically, this is the NFHS 2020 rules book and Reading. You'll see some pictures from the Reading study guide. This one's from 2019. I highly recommend that Reading study guide if you don't have one. I try to buy one about once every couple of years. They're not very expensive and they're wonderful for getting into very specific topics. Again, a little bit more about live ball deadfall. Most live ball fouls are enforced using the all but one principle. And in a couple of charts, I'll tell you about the exception. So this is just kind of an overlay showing you that. The future vets, we spoke about fouls simultaneous with the snap. They're not related to this topic. So we got to talk about spots. The basic spot is a point of reference for penalty enforcement. And that word is used a lot in the all but one. So we're going to come back to that. The enforcement spot is the point of reference for which a penalty is enforced. That's where you're going to mark off the yardage from. Sometimes that is the basic spot, sometimes it's not. The dead ball spot is the foremost point of the ball when it becomes dead by rule, pretty straightforward. The previous spot makes sense. It's where it was last snapped or free kicked. The succeeding spot is where the ball would be next snapped or free kicked if a foul had not occurred. When a foul occurs during a down in which a touchdown is scored, the offended team may choose the subsequent kickoff. Okay, so that's just an exception where it could be a succeeding spot. And more references, I'm going to reference all over the place because my goal is to get everyone into the rule books and case books and get your noses in the material. Basic spots. Every penalty is enforced from one of these spots. Previous spot, spot of the foul, succeeding spot, spot where the run ends, spot where the kick ends, 20-yard line, goal line. We're not going to cover all these because they're not all related to the all but one principle, but I just did this for completeness. Now we're going to get into the all but one principle. And it's really, the principle itself is very simple. Every foul can be classified as one of the following. There's a foul by the team not in possession beyond the basic spot. And we're going to get into the basic spot to explain what that is in just a second. So hang tight. But anyways, a lot of times it's the previous spot or a line of scrimmage. So just for right now, let's just assume it's the line of scrimmage. So if you have a foul by the team not in possession, typically the defense, beyond that spot, that's one classification. You can also have a foul by that defense behind that spot. Okay. Thirdly, you can have a foul by the team in possession, typically the offense, beyond the basic spot, or you can have it behind the basic spot. That's pretty much it. They're all live ball. They're going to be on the basic spot or behind the basic spot, and they're going to be on the team with possession or not. Okay, in all three of those, 1 through 3, the fouls are going to be enforced from the basic spot. Number 4, where you have, that is the one in the all but one, basically. That's fouls by the team in possession behind the basic spot. Those are enforced from the spot of the foul. That's the all but one principle. Now we got to talk a little bit more on that to build up to this. What is the basic spot? Well, here's a diagram, talks about the basic spot. well, not yet the basic spot. This is just a graphic that shows those 4 possibilities. And you'll notice that the top 2 and the one on the bottom right, those are the first 3 where it's enforced from the basic spot. And the one in the bottom left corner is the foul, say on the offense behind the basic spot. That's going to be enforced from the spot of the foul. Everyone else is basic spot. So there are some exceptions. I promised I'd say that, tell you about that. So any live ball foul is penalized according to all but one, except these. Fouls that occur simultaneously with the snap, typically those are going to be the previous spot. Future Vets talked about that last week. A foul by opponents of the scoring team during a successful try, field goal, touchdown when their score is accepted. That's typically going to be taken on the succeeding spot, maybe kickoff, depending on the situation. A non-player unsportsmanlike foul, those are going to be dead ball, enforced using dead ball. Roughing the passer when the dead ball spot is beyond the neutral zone and there has been no change in team possession and a kick catch interference, the offended team does not accept a penalty. It's 15 yards from the spot of the foul. Okay, so those are the exceptions. We're not going to dive into those right now, but let's get back into basic spot. Now that we're talking about the basic spot a lot, well, what is it? Well, it's actually determined by the type of play that's happening. So at the end of a run, that's the basic spot. It's the previous spot on loose ball plays. And for post scrimmage kicks, it could be the end of the kick. Very straightforward. End of the run, that's a spot, and previous spot for loose ball plays. Pretty straightforward. So let's talk about runs. A run is when the ball is in player possession and can be all or part of a running play or part of a loose ball play. The run ends when the spot where the ball becomes dead, if the runner goes out of bounds or the runner is tackled, but they still have possession, okay? Or the run ends if the player loses possession, say a fumble, for example. And also when they pass the neutral zone. This is really important to remember. The neutral zone is a key part of understanding running plays versus loose ball play. We'll come back to that. Here's the most basic run. You have a snap and the quarterback could be running with the ball, it could hand off. Anyways, no loose ball involved whatsoever here. The tackle ends, that's the end of the run. That is the basic spot, okay? Now we get a little bit more complicated. There's only one run on this play. There's a scramble and it is part of the running play. Thus the basic spot for any penalty that occurs during the scramble is the spot of the fumble. So we have a run with a fumble and in and out of bounds, okay? We mark that spot with a beanbag at the end of the run. If there is a penalty during that scramble or that loose ball, then it's going to go back to that basic spot at the end of the run. That's why it's very, very important if you have a penalty to know the status of the ball and what type of play this is. We have a hand raised up. Go ahead. Charles.
I don't know if
Charlie
you
Devine.
did. Go ahead, Steve.
Charlie
Okay.
Devine, did you mean to raise your hand?
All right, we'll keep going until I get in. You can go ahead and interrupt, Charles, if you have a question. Okay, this is a little bit uglier. You have 2 runs, 2 running plays, 2 basic spots. For fouls that during the run and ensuing scramble, the spot is the fumble, is the basic spot. For fouls during the second running play, the basic spot is where the ball becomes dead. So again, you can have multiple runs during a play. There's your first running play where there's a fumble and then it gets recovered and then there's another run and a tackle, okay? So again, I'm going to pound this in. While there can be only one loose ball play during a down, there can be multiple running plays, okay? Now let's talk about loose ball. Loose ball play is a backwards pass, including the snap, illegal kick or fumble made by team A in or behind the neutral zone prior to change of team possession. It's a legal forward pass. It's a free kick or scrimmage kick. It's the run or runs which precede any of the above. So basically, anytime the ball becomes loose behind the line of scrimmage, you have a loose ball play that starts right there. In all of that action, it could be a quarterback takes a snap directly from center and pitches back to a halfback. Halfback is running. All that action until that runner crosses the line of scrimmage is part of the loose ball play. We'll have some other, I'll have several examples here, but just the ball, quarterback takes a shotgun snap. The ball becomes loose immediately. That's part of a loose ball play. That loose ball play will not end until either a runner or the quarterback crosses the line of scrimmage in possession of the ball, or the quarterback throws a pass. It's still a loose ball play until the receiver catches that ball or the ball becomes dead. That's all part of the same loose ball play. You could have multiple runs that occur after that loose ball play, but it is just one loose ball play. And it's very important because for loose ball plays, the basic spot's the previous spot. So let's get some examples. A run followed by a legal forward pass are part of one loose ball play. This is your quarterback takes a snap. He runs off to the right side, scrambling, throws a pass. The catch is made. This is a loose ball play that does not end until that catch is made. And then if the receiver takes off, you'll have a running play at that point. And anything that happens after, the ball could become loose multiple times, but the loose ball play is now over. And now you're just status of, do we have a running play and when does the ball become loose? Backward pass followed by a scrimmage kick. Both are part of one loose ball play. Basic spot, previous spot. A run followed by a fumble behind the neutral zone. Both are part of one loose ball play. You'll have a lot of officials that'll want to beanbag loose balls, fumbles, and things behind the line of scrimmage. There's nothing wrong with doing that. That's fine. It's a point of reference that there's a fumble that's occurred. But if there's going to be a penalty that happens during that loose ball play, prior to the ball crossing the line of scrimmage by a runner or by a receiver catching the ball beyond the line of scrimmage, if a penalty occurs during that time, the enforcement spot is going to be the previous spot. So you don't need the beanbag for enforcement. You're just dropping a beanbag to show that you have a fumble. Here's an example. We have a forward pass and then a run preceding it or loose ball play. Once the ball is caught, a separate running play begins, kind of what we were just talking about. Okay. That being said, I want to clarify something that people oversimplify. You'll hear it. I've heard it for years now from veteran officials, and basically what they're going to say is they're going to oversimplify the all but one principle and say, let's just get it from where it hurts them the most. Well, there's a lot of examples where that works out to be true, and it's just fine. It fits the all but one principle, but there are several counter examples as well. And here's just a random counter example. If you have, say, defensive pass interference where the interference and the play ends 15 yards or less beyond the neutral zone. So an example might be, a 10-yard pass across the middle, receiver catches the ball, but the receiver was interfered with, and they do make the catch. They go down, say, less than 15 yards, doesn't matter. The only reason I mention the less than 15 yards, because if the catch was made beyond 15 yards, they're going to decline the penalty and take the result of the play, so it wouldn't really matter. So for the all but one principle to apply, you have to have a penalty that they're going to accept. So let's take that example. Let's say the pass interference happened about 8 yards downfield, and the play ended about 10 yards downfield. So the spot of the foul, let's say that doesn't matter, pick one. They started at the 50 and it was at the 42 was the interference going in. Okay, several examples, you can use any you want. Well, if you mark it off from where it hurt them the most, you'd be marking off 15 yards from the 42. Okay, but that's not what we do, because this foul occurred during loose ball play. So the basic spot is not the spot of the foul, it's the previous spot, which is the line of scrimmage, which we, in this example, we're talking about, say, the 50-yard line. So you would have enforced 8 additional yards. You would have had a 23-yard penalty if you got them from where it hurt them the most, but really it's a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. So if you ever hear that, there's several examples out there. You probably find them in the casebook and stuff, but you definitely need to put that away and just simplify the all but one principle. So next we have a couple of film clips. Let me just set this up. We have 4 film clips actually. in this first one, I'm going to put it up here in a second, but I just want you, I want to tell you about it because I don't want to go over the film over and over again. I just want to kind of look at it and use it as an example. So we're probably going to look at each of these one time. So what you want to look for in this next film is number 49 on the defense has a pass interference at the 1 yard line. Okay, this occurs during loose ball play. So when I bring this film clip up, it's going to be a long pass to the right-hand side. The pass interference is going to happen just in front of the goal line. Okay, 1 second. Okay, here's the setup. And you see we're going from right to left, and the penalty is going to happen down there near the goal line in view, plain view for everybody. There's the pass interference, and it's about the 1 yard line. This was an incomplete pass, so line of scrimmage in this case is the 23. Hang on a second. Let me get to it. Let me jump back out. Escape. Give me a sec. Sorry about that. I have not reached Jedi status in Zoom just yet, guys, so bear with me. Okay, so we had a foul by the team not in possession, the defense. So the basic spot is the previous spot, which is the 24 yard line going in. So this is a 15 yard penalty from the previous spot, marked off half the distance in this case, because you can't have any penalty be closer than half the distance to the goal, and that's a football fundamental. I did not put that one in the background. The down will be replayed from the 12 yard line, and in this case, it is not a result in a first down, as the line to gain was the 8 yard line. Okay, and so one of the things I did want to mention, and Dennis covered a lot of this, I think, but when you are looking at film, if possible to get film, it is really great to have the chain in your view in the film. And if you can't get that, we'll have another example where you have an end zone view where the scoreboard's there, and you can see it's, the down and distance, and you can see the time. Why it's important to know what quarter and what time it is when reviewing film, getting slightly off topic from the previous. Sometimes you'll be in a game and something will just not look right, maybe, or there was a foul you want to go review, or maybe there was a no call that you want to go review, and you make a note on your game card for the time, who had the ball, approximately where it was at. You make those notes on your game card, and then you keep going. And then if you can get the film later, it's really helpful to be able to see that scoreboard to tell you what quarter and what the time is. It'll help you go find that actual play without having to watch an entire game when you're trying to review that. So it's pretty handy if you can do that. Okay, let's go on to the next example. In this one, I want you to take a look at the right defensive end. There's going to be a personal foul at the 41 yard line, and this is going to also occur during loose ball play. So okay, I'm going to back it up just real quick here. Right there, you see that guy throwing looked like the left guard or probably the tackle, threw that defensive end to the ground. There's a flag on that play. You'll see the flag come in maybe here in a second. I'm not sure. Yeah, there comes a flag from the referee. Anyways, let me go back real quick. All right, so we had a foul occur, team not in possession. Okay, it was behind the basic spot this time. The previous was team not in possession beyond the basic spot. The basic spot's the previous spot because it was part of a loose ball play, 34 yard line going in. This one, I believe, was a 15 yard personal foul penalty. And so that's going to be enforced from the previous spot. The line to gain was the 24. So this will result in a 1st and 10 from the 14 yard line. Okay, and I apologize, we're not going back into the film and verifying all these numbers. The whole point of this is to talk about the examples. So this was first film was following the defense beyond. Second film is following the defense behind the basic spot. Next should have a foul on the offense coming up here. This next film, we're going to have a foul number 81. This is going to be offensive pass interference. It's going to occur at the 20-yard line during loose ball play. Okay, take a look at that. It's going to be the bottom left or the top left of your screen. Number 81 pushes off right there, catches the ball. Okay, so again, that is a penalty. I'm going to back it up just a second in case you missed that. Okay, here we go. There's the push off, and then he catches the ball. So here we have the third example where we have a foul on the team in possession. Remember, the ball is loose, but possession is team possession in this situation. And the team that last possessed the ball is in possession of the loose ball. It's a football fundamental. And so the pass goes downfield and the receiver pushes off. So we have a penalty on the offense beyond the basic spot. Basic spot's the previous spot, which happened to be the 50-yard line this time. This is a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. The down will be replayed, and it'll be second down and 25 from the 35-yard line coming out of the end zone. Okay, so let's move on to our fourth and final film example here. This is the one in the all but one. Remember, all the other ones we've looked at, the penalty was enforced from the basic spot, which in loose balls, the previous spot, in running plays, the end of the run. On this film, take a look at number 73. We're going to have an offensive hold that occurs at the 30-yard line during loose ball play again. I put loose ball plays in here because those are the messiest ones. If it was just a running play, remember the basic spot's the end of the run. It's not too complicated, okay? So let's take a look at this last film clip. There's the hold on number 73, just to the left of the quarterback. He took down that player. There's a flag on it. Okay. One more time real quick. The center. There's a takedown. Okay, the end of the play doesn't matter. We have a penalty. So it does not matter what happens. You have a penalty on the out. Well, it would matter if the defense intercepted, they decline a penalty. So this was the one. This is team in possession. The offense in this case. Penalty was on the offensive player behind the basic spot. The basic spot was the previous spot because it is loose ball play. But we have a penalty behind the basic spot. And now you're going to go to the spot of the foul and mark this one off. So this is going to be a 10-yard penalty for holding from the spot of the foul, which was at the 30-yard line. The down will be replayed from the 20-yard line. It's coming out of the end zone. Okay. Next. All but one summary. We're ready to wrap this up. It is critical now, if you haven't caught it, for the all but one principle in any kind of time you have a foul, to understand what type of play you have. So it's critical to know the status of the ball and determine the type of play, whether it's a running play. And remember, there could be multiple running plays, and those are typically going to be the end of the run or where the ball became loose, or loose ball play, okay, when the foul occurs. So it's very important to have that status. When you're first getting started, it's going to be a little bit tough because you're really focused on, the penalty itself. Kind of the ball status becomes secondary, but that's something that you want to work on given time. And, your crew can help with that. So Next is, while it's possible to have several running plays in a down, with each one having its own basic spot for enforcement, there can only be one loose ball play. This includes, again, backward pass, includes a shotgun snap, the runs, fumbles, kicks, all kinds of stuff. Anything that happens behind the neutral zone, and any pass that goes beyond the line of scrimmage, that's still loose ball play until that ball is caught or dropped and becomes incomplete. So very important to understand loose ball play and what's going on, all kinds of crazy stuff. The basic spot then is the end of the run for running plays, previous spot for loose ball plays. And there, again, only one loose ball play time. There's an exception for post scrimmage kicks, and typically that'll be the end of the kick, depending on who the penalty is on, but that doesn't necessarily always involve all but one. Most live fouls are enforced using the all but one principle, and the one case in the all but one is where you have a foul by the team in possession behind the basic spot, and those are enforced from the spot of the foul. All the other three cases are done from the basic spot. I believe that is up for questions. 6:56. We have time for some questions.
Hey, Steve, this is Sean Cooper down in Las Cruces. I have a comment about
Yes.
these. One of the things we have to make sure is when we have a running play down the field and the team decides to backward pass to gain some yardage, we need to beanbag even that backwards pass, even though it's not a fumble, because that became loose ball as well.
Absolutely.
And then the second one is we also have to pay attention in the backfield if there's a pitch or a ball or some activity that makes the ball go loose. Then we don't have a run in there, and maybe the quarterback is, and then it's pitched back to a runner, and there's then a tackle on that runner, and the foul occurred prior to the runner getting that pitch. Then we also have a loose ball in the backfield, and that foul that occurred before that pitch
I would disagree with that. So basically, anytime the ball becomes loose in the backfield, all those examples of when you're talking about, those are all part of the loose ball play. And so you're going to enforce that as a loose ball play. So all that action happens. You don't have to know, was the running back in possession running loose when the hold occurred, or was the ball rolling around loose? You don't have to get complicated like that. It's very simple. Anytime the ball becomes loose in the backfield, from the snap to a quarterback pitch, to a backward pass, to a fumble, to anything loose behind the line of scrimmage, those are all going to go back to the previous spot, because if the penalty occurred during that time, it's part of one loose ball play.
I agree. I want us to make sure that we noted that there was a foul and a pitch, that's going to go back to the previous spot, instead of saying, oh, that runner was tackled behind here. The basic spot's the previous spot.
Correct.
And so we have to make sure we pay attention to that, especially if there's a foul by the defense. There's an advantage to the offense to go back to previous spot instead of a defensive foul that's in the backfield.
Yeah. And another way to simplify things too is anytime there's a foul on the defense, it's going to be a basic spot, because it either occurred beyond or behind the basic spot. And so defensive fouls are always going to be basic spot unless there's an exception.
Correct. Thanks.
Good. Thank you. Any other questions?
Excellent presentation, Steve. We really thank you. I know you put a lot of time and effort into that. Thank you. Dennis, you as well. Appreciate it. And if you guys have any other questions, the Central region, there's a lot of guys that know a lot more football than any of us in the Central region. We got some really fantastic officials here, and reach out to any of us. Dana, back to you and Nate. Thank you.
Hey, Ken, thank you too. By the way, you guys, Ken actually practiced using Hudl and looking at a lot of film. He pulled these 4 film clips off for us. Appreciate that, Ken. We practiced what we preached to present this.
Steve, Dennis, Ken, great job, guys. We really do appreciate it. And there are questions in the chat about, will you receive a copy of this video? Yes, all meetings are recorded, and we'll send those out next week. So just be on the lookout for that. and you can refer back at any time. If anybody has any questions for Steve or Dennis or Ken, if you want to go ahead and just unmute and ask, we've got a couple minutes that we can stick around rather than reading them out of the chat box.
Also, the presentation, the charts, I think Dennis, if he hasn't already done it, he usually posts all these presentations, the PowerPoints on the AFOA website. So if you go to afoafootball.com and you look on the top, there's a link for, I think it's 2021 spring meetings or something like that. Dennis posts, when he gets the recordings, he'll post the recordings out there and he'll put the charts out there, and these are meant to be shared.
We
Yeah,
appreciate
the password is AFOA 2019. We're not hiding anything. Anybody in New Mexico, NMOA football can access anything we have online.
Be sure you use capital letters for that AFOA, okay?
And there was a request in the chat that Ken never tells jokes again. So I'm sure Dennis will agree with that.
Well, I've got one for you guys. You know that there are 3 rings in the wedding ceremony. There's the wedding, the engagement ring, the wedding ring, and the suffering. My wife tells me the suffering is bi-directional. Mostly one way, she suffers.
Dana,
I'll add that right now. Any questions, anyone? We'll stick around for a few minutes. Should you have questions not related to the presentation, if you don't have any questions and you want to get about your Wednesday night, feel free to log out now, and Nate will send the attendance information next week as well as the link to this video. And our next meeting is next Wednesday. It'll be the Northwest region presenting. That'll be February 10th. February 17th is the district football clinic. So make sure that you, sorry, I'm reading the chat. Make sure you all are there for our next couple of meetings, and we'll send those invitations out the Friday before and the day of. Make sure you tell your officiating friends that they have to register for the meeting. And then all the information is in the confirmation email. If you don't see the confirmation email, make sure that you check your junk or spam, because that's why people can't get in, is they don't read the whole email. Go figure.
No worries. Hey, future vets, I'll see you guys at 7:30.
Oh, that's right. Man, you've got a long night of instruction, Steve.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank
It's
you
fun.
so much.
It's good.
That was a great job. We appreciate you.
Thanks a lot. We'll see you guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Don't forget to take your test.
Thank you, guys.
Get rid of that pepper
Settle
stuff.
down, Simon.
See you guys later.
Settle down, Simon. You don't show that much excitement in the volleyball meetings.
I know.
Yeah.
He was like, that was a little too much.
Well, it's because he has to be
Dana,
professional in the
I have
volleyball
a
meetings, Mr.
question.
Assigner over here.
Oh, that is why.
You didn't have anybody else to pick for a signer besides him, huh?
Oh, wow.
Hey, I'm the best that has ever been, dude.
You only have like 5 guys to assign. There's not more than that, right?
Hey, but you know what? This is the one sport that pays the most.
I believe it.
Dana, I have a question.
Yes.
You said that we should all have access to Hudl soon.
Yes, I'm working on updating those rosters this week, and everybody's Hudl account should be ready to rock and roll by Friday.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Philip, when you do get in there, if you do not have any film, which you probably won't, send me an email and I will send you all the film I have, and I'll automatically populate in your Hudl account.
Thanks, Dennis.
That way you don't have
Thank
to
you,
do it,
sir.
Dana.
Otherwise, I'll end up sending you ball films.
I vote that we just put Dennis in charge of all Hudl film, and he can send it out to all officials.
Oh, boy.
I could do that, but I charge.
Dennis, be careful what you're good at.
Hey, it's the NMOA. We all volunteer our time.
Dennis is all, I think I've done enough of that.
Nate, you're breaking up. What did you say?
Hey, Dana and I are getting paid, and that's to do the stuff that has nothing to do with what we're doing.
Yeah, I know. Let me know if you guys do need help with Hudl. You just have to make me an admin.
On Hudl?
Yep.
Probably for me to be able to do like mask stuff and not individually click on every link.
Done. Sold.
Check.
I have nothing else to do. I'm retired, sitting at home, twiddling my thumbs.
How are you retired, man? You're like 57.
It's not even that old.
46. I'm 46. What are you talking about?
10 years younger than that.
Who's older, Ken or you?
Ken. Sorry, Ken.
Ken's older. Ken's 59.
Don't go. I am not there yet.
Yeah, 58 and 11 months.
And I'll still and I still beat him up and down the court in the field.
In a golf cart.
Wow.
For the individuals that are on here, veteran officials especially, we just want to thank you. I would say that football is probably one of our most veteran sports as far as officials, and what you teach us young bucks is really amazing. In my few years of officiating down the Southwest, a really solid veteran group that really taught me a lot about just officiating, not just football, but all sports. So thank you for all of you that are still on.
I always say football's our true crew sport. Something special about football crews. I will say that.
Yep, a little bit.
All right, you guys.
I could have killed Ken earlier in the day, but now we're friends again. So
Isn't that every day?
I need to ride. I need to ride to the football game. That's the only reason.
Good night, you guys. God bless.
Thanks, Ken.
All right, I'm out of here. Looks like everyone's logging off.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Bye,
Nate,
all.
Nate, keep
Yep.
keep up on the TikToks, man. I love them.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
If I'm not willing to embarrass myself for the love of my officials, then what good am I? I don't know. Nate's forcing me out of my comfort zone, man.
You just gotta let yourself go and just do it.
I let my hair down. I keep telling everybody I'm probably the only commissioner of officials in the country who would find herself on TikTok. I'm like, now all these other people in my position have to loosen up. Man. It's fun. I have fun with this. Keep it light.
I'm enjoying them. Keep it up.
Thank you. Thanks, Nate. You've made a TikTok celebrity.
And now we can just start doing some of these trends. So we have like 37,000 likes.
I don't know.
Just
What?
kidding.
I don't know.
Well, that's not a good thing because one, I don't think I can dance like that, and two, I don't think you want to dance like that. So
No, I don't. Oh, who is that? Oh, cute.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. How cute.
Say hi.
Hello.
My daughter.
Oh my gosh, she
Say
is
hi.
cute. How old is she?
Yeah, she's my TikTok star.
She is adorable. Holy cow. Is she always so happy?
Always,
Really?
always.
That's awesome.
And when she's not, she's really loud.
That's okay.
She's really loud.
I'm the same way. When I'm not happy, I'm really loud too. So it's all right. All right, y'all. Good night. Give her a little hug and kiss for me. She's adorable.
Mwah. There you go.
Thank you.
good night, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye.